Think we're live. Oh, good morning. Happy Friday fire. Remember to have your cameras off if you are on the Zoom just for this section while we're chatting in the Facebook group for our Elevated Mother Collective. And then once for everyone's information, my name is Robin Whitworth. This is the Elevated Mother Collective. I'm the CEO of the Elevated Mother brand, and this is our Friday Fire call. And we teach the concept here in this free Facebook group. And then we go off the call and I go and we talk. All my clients are on this Zoom and we do go into Q&A and teach a lot more of the coaching aspect of the concept. And so today we are talking about our two-part series, being the calm mama in the family drama. If my team's so creative, I wouldn't have come up with that, but I think it's really fun. And if you are seeing this in Facebook, let's see. Yeah, we're all on. We have viewers on Facebook. Say hello. Please use the comments. Let us know you're here. Say hi. And we'll be able to see who is on there as well. I'm going to move my screens so that I can see my notes. Where did they go? I want to be able to see my notes. And my team, if my team can have their Facebook open to be able to help with comments on Facebook, that would be amazing. Because I'm going to be kind of just going through my notes and I don't want to do a ton in the comments while I'm teaching. So thank you, Cherie. She put in the chat on Zoom that she's on it. Okay. So whether you are a team member on Zoom or a client on Zoom or in the Facebook, tell me. Looks like Megan is in there too. Yay, Megan. Thank you so much for being in the comments on Facebook. I love it. Tell me, why do you think we care about what others think? We're talking about this today. Why do you think we think about what others think? Give me all the reasons. Why did you think about what other people thought about when you were 5, when you were 7, when you were 14, when you were 18, when you were 26, 31, like 52, 65? Why do you think about what others think? And if you're on here and you're a client, use the chat. And if you're on Facebook, use the chat. I want to see, like, why do you think that we think about, I want to put a pulse on, why do you think we do this? And I'm not judging your answers. It's important for me to be able to see where my group is thinking. What are you guys thinking about this? Why do you think that we think about what others think? Who's got their brain on this morning? Come on, people, use the chat. Alicia says, wanting to be accepted, fit in. We see our parents do it. We were raised with the idea that you should think about what other people think. We want to know, Stacy says, I want to know that what I'm doing is right, looking for validation. We learn through observation and mimicry. These are so good, right? We attach value to other people's opinions. So if you have any other thoughts, put them all in. I have loved all these answers. But what I have learned through reading lots of books and coaching lots of people for 12 years is that most people, tell me your thoughts on this in the chats. Most people, it boils down to safety for ourselves or for someone else. Now, you guys have mentioned accepting, wanting to fit in, you don't want to look stupid, like those kinds of things. But what is that rooted in? It's like a fear of some kind, right? If I don't fit in, then something will happen. If I don't act like my parents, I won't belong, right? There's at the very root of it, we are wanting to be safe. Because I've really sat with this class and I thought I've taught this before and I went down a different vein and I felt really inspired to go down a little bit of a more introspective vein for this class this time, and thinking, it boils down to wanting to be safe somewhere. So we're afraid. And it's usually for ourselves, but I recognized when I was sitting with this that it can be for others. Like I remember I was at a convention. I can't even remember the city. Maybe it was Nashville, Tennessee. And we were waiting for our buses that were chartered as part of the organization to take us back to hotel districts and things from the convention center. And this girl was just, I could feel that she was distressed. like I could tell something was not okay. So I thought, in those kind of instances, I'm also like discerning like someone's thoughts or experience. And it was for her safety, right? I'm like, are you okay? You see a young child wandering the halls of Walmart, the aisles of Walmart in tears, you're kind of like, this person is in distress. Are they lost? I'm trying to discern their thoughts of like their experience. So a lot of times we do this for safety for ourselves or safety for someone else. What are you guys' thoughts? Have you seen that? Can you see that? Like that all the examples you gave, or for the safety and goodness of other people, that it's something about safety. Any thoughts about that? Like, oh, yeah, I can see that, or share an experience. Yes, I've seen that. Sometimes our parents even tell us that, well, you should be mindful about what other people will think about this. Well, why did they say that? Was it for your safety or for theirs? Very interesting, you guys. I thought of like all these concepts of perception as I was thinking about this. Like, why do we care what other people think? And one of the things I wanted to teach that I felt God was helping me learn, like I was like, what can these people learn? What can I learn in this class? And it was how to recognize when we're doing it. Not so much, well, I know I know I do it because it's something I say, like I'm so worried about what people think. But it's like, why am I doing that? Could there be a noble reason? Like, is this just a bad thing that I should stop doing and it's a shameful behavior? Or is there really like, I'm doing this because I'm trying to be safe. I'm trying to be aware. I'm trying to discern my next steps. Megan says, oh, I'm looking at this differently. Good. This is what these classes are about. They're about expansion and expanding our thoughts on things, because sometimes we do get into a little bit of a tunnel on one way of seeing something. And when we expand, it helps us to be more compassionate to others, be more compassionate to ourselves. Cherie says, reactive parents caused me to walk on eggshells and be hyper aware of my environment. 100% safety related. I love that. I think it's Nancy maybe that says true in the comments on the client on the Zoom call. So I'm hoping I'm expanding this for you. So if it's about safety at a foundational level of our human needs, that we are trying to discern the thoughts of other people. Once we have safety, then, once I feel like I'm safe in my body, I'm okay, I've got food, I got clothes, this isn't like I'm in direct danger. Why else would I try to discern the thoughts of other people? Why would I care what other people are thinking if my basic safety is taken care of? It goes into kind of where Cherie was showing. We start to think of things like, am I wanted here? Because I could leave. I don't need this environment. I'm safe in myself. Am I valued? Is my input needed? Like, do I need to be here? Do I need this experience? Do I need these people? Do I have to be here, right? What about, am I loved? Am I loved if I can't decide how this person thinks? Am I trying to secure that thought that I am loved as I am? Am I trying to discern their behavior and words to me as a meaning of love? Yeah, control, Megan says. Because I want to make sure everyone has a good experience. So I look for feedback, especially in family settings. Yes. Learning how to meet people's needs. Of course, right? So once we're like, oh, I've got my basic safety here, then we move into more psychological conditions like, am I loved? Am I valued? Am I desired? And we will sit in those spaces. But what's so interesting is that the definition that would satisfy those questions is completely unique to the individual. So if we're trying to discern the needs of people and we're trying to like make sure everyone has a good experience around us, what I'm hoping you can accept is this idea that that is actually impossible. You'll never get it right. You won't. You'll never get it right. It's fictional. Like, can you ever really know what someone else is thinking? Unless you ask them, right? But when a lot of times this issue of I'm worrying about what other people think and it's limiting to me is it's like I'm putting a fictional story on that person, that person, that person, that person, unless I actually ask them, what are you thinking? Like, you'll never really know. And what's so interesting is a lot of people have a filter to where they don't even tell you exactly what they're really thinking. They're not even mindful enough to really know what they're thinking. Moreover, the more people that I ask, what are you thinking about? It's nothing about what I thought they were thinking. I was sitting watching swimming lessons once at a public, a pool, and there was multiple parents watching the swimming lesson. We were there waiting till it was over. And I asked this mom, I was like, oh, I was thinking about, how they do this. And she's like, I was thinking about what I'm making for dinner tonight. And I was just like, I thought we were both watching the thing that there was an instructor that was clearly struggling with some aspect with the kids. And it's like, I wonder why they do it that way. And she's like, oh, I was wondering what I'm making for dinner tonight. And it's just funny. It was so funny. Would you all agree? Like, we can't really know what anyone is really thinking. So anything that we're like over here trying to control the experience, it's kind of a futile thing. To make someone feel loved, ultimately that's up to them. To make someone feel comfortable, that's ultimately up to them. To make someone like, I could do all of these things. I could bring the right dish to the reunion. I could bring the funnest game. Maybe no one will play it. Maybe no one will take a bite of my amazing potato salad. What are you going to do? Right? What kind of fictional story are you going to tell about this? Brooklyn. I'm the one thinking about the random topics. Sometimes I am too. Sometimes I am too. But the more we become mindful of our own thoughts, I've started being like, you know what? None of these people are thinking what I think maybe they're thinking. They're thinking something else. Therefore, I've become more fascinated with people instead of feeling like I'm a victim to their thoughts. I was like, oh, I wonder what they're thinking about, because I know they're not thinking about me, because I'm not thinking about me. It's just interesting. I started to tell different stories once I became aware of this. And I'm hoping you're learning this, that it's like, there's a reason, you guys, like, let's back up just a little bit on first understanding, like, the definition of how someone's going to love and accept a situation is completely up to them. We have lots of perceptions. Thereby, we have lots of libraries filled with people's perceptions. Well, this is how I think about it. This is how I think about it. And I think that it's going to affect the world if I write a book about how I think about it. And it does. There's libraries and Barnes and Nobles and the internet. You go, what do people think about that? And you'll get 400 million responses in 1.2 seconds, right? We learn that everyone is seeing the world through their own lens. Even if you want to think about glasses, like, well, this is my lens. Think about the other day, it was actually a couple years ago. I was at Arctic Circle. It's a fast food restaurant. I don't know if you're watching this, and they don't have Arctic Circles around. It's like a McDonald's type place. And there was a mom, a younger mom with a couple young toddlers, and she was clearly like clearly feeling some stress. You could feel it from her, that she was very stressed out about this situation. And her child spilled this, liquid, sticky liquid. And she was just like, oh my gosh, you could tell she was just very stressed about this liquid spilling. And I'm over here being the coach that I am, and I'm kind of observing this, not judging. I'm just observing. And this grandmother that's like another booth back is watching this interaction, and she has a look on her face of pure, like, nostalgia. She's like sitting there with this very peaceful, compassionate, almost like this. She's just really, really thinking about watching this young mom with these kids. And I'm over here just observing two people seeing the same thing. Three people, if you count me. The mom sees this liquid and is clearly, she's apologizing up and down. The worker comes in, she's like, oh, I'll go get a mop. And she's like, I'm so sorry, my kids are so clumsy, and I should have had this and I should have done that. And she is just really in this moment. And the grandmother is over there just, I don't know what she was thinking about, maybe pining for the days when she had littles, just watching this experiment. She was there with an older child, and I'm like, how interesting that reality is playing out. But that's when my brain picked up on parallel realities. That when we're thinking about what someone else is thinking, we have to remember they are seeing something through a different lens. And we are not called upon to control that lens. No one's asking for you to get up and proclaim that your potato salad is the best and everyone should have some. No one's asking you to facilitate the game that you brought. No one was asking for anything different than what they're experiencing. And if they are and they're not saying anything, that's on them. It's not your responsibility. But it was interesting to me to think about how we have different perceptions based on the lens we're seeing through. And you think about what caused that young mom to have so much constriction, rising color in her face, she was very stressed and apologizing for her existence, basically. Like, I'm so sorry we're here. I'm so sorry we're enjoying our establishment. You might have to clean up because you invited kids in here. I mean, as a coach, I've learned how to observe that. And when we get off from this, I'm going to talk about this with our clients. But really understanding, why do I think about what people are thinking? Because as a human, we observe to learn. But if we're stressed about it, it's because we're fearing something. I'm fearing acceptance. I'm fearing whether I belong. I'm fearing if I'm loved. I'm fearing if I'm actually wanted and valued. It's very interesting. So if you're on this call, think about that, journal about that. The next time you're stressed about showing up a certain way, whether that's at church, could I go to church without mascara on? Ooh, so risky. I say it that way because I used to be that way and now I'm not. I'm so amazed how much energy that used to take. Right? And yeah, Brooklyn, asking what our husband's thinking. Sometimes we get to be prepared to look forward to, we might be so stressed out and he's not, he's thinking about the NBA highlights. That's what happens in my relationship all the time. I'll be like, we're having this struggle. And he's like, what? I think of the Inside Out movie. Like the first one where the daughter's like really struggling and the mom's like signaling him with the eyes, and the emotions in the dad's brain are like, oh, she gave us the look. What's going on? I don't know. We were just looking at football highlights. The daughter's having a problem. Okay. Like that's a funny representation, but it's partially true, right? That we all are seeing something different. And when we're stressed about it, we're trying to control our experience and others out of a fear. And so I want to bring this point around. If we don't know what people are thinking, and it's just fictional stories that we're telling, whose thoughts are you actually thinking? If you're thinking about what other people are thinking, whose thoughts are you actually thinking? Exactly, Megan. Exactly. And Cherie is going to teach part 2 next week. Once you know that all of that fictional story is coming from yourself, it can become emotionally triggering. You go, oh, well, what within me is telling such scary stories? What within me is calling for that? And what do I do with it? So stay tuned, because Cherie is going to talk about when we've been emotionally activated because our mother at the reunion, maybe your mom freaks out about, well, we should have done that. And you were trying to take control of the experience. Oh no, she thought this about me. She's probably actually not. She's probably just going, well, I really wanted this to look this way because I was going to take a picture. And you took it all personal, like, oh, it was against my how I decorated that cake. She doesn't want it that way. Like, oh my gosh, right? We start to realize that the thoughts we're putting out in these thought bubbles above people is what we are thinking, not them. But we do it from safety. Why do we do that? Right? We're going to coach on that. And I wanted to bring in a couple of scriptures to help you. As I pondered on this, I thought, did Jesus ever think about what other people were thinking about? And I got studying my scriptures, and there were multiple places in the scriptures where Jesus talks about discerning the thoughts of others. But it always says, the scriptures say, he discerned the thoughts of others, the intentions of others through the Spirit. And that hit me so strongly this morning. So strongly. So very strongly. In 2 Timothy 1:7, he said, for God hath not given man a spirit of fear, What? So when you're feeling fear, you're not in the spirit. Okay? When you're feeling unsafe and scared, be aware that that is a worldly experience. That's something that's out here. But when we connect to the spirit and we're living in the spirit and from the spirit, when we're thinking about the thoughts of other people and discerning that with the spirit, I was able to, and I would love for you all to experiment with this at your next reunion. The next thing that you're worried about looking stupid, or go, I'm going to go in with a spirit, with the spirit of God. And instead of these fictional thoughts that feel so scary, when I have done this, I'm like, oh, look at what she brought. That's so fun. Oh, look at his cute little shoes. And I compliment the mom. Oh, look at her shirt. Where did she get that? And I compliment. All of a sudden, I can sense myself being a light of ease and grace instead of being critical because I'm critical of myself. I'm not reflecting that. I'm not even getting that from people. And all of a sudden, I'm the safe space at the reunion. All of a sudden, I'm the calm mama in the family drama because I'm not creating fictional stories about everybody that are in a fear-based way. I'm in the spirit of God and being like, oh, they're choosing to share space with me. I'm so grateful. Like, it's so fun. Yes, Megan, this would shift so much in our family circles. To realize we can be in that spirit and discern people's thoughts and intentions from love. So it's not that we should never think about what people might be experiencing, but it's how. How am I doing that? How am I doing that? In Romans 12:2, if you're in my space or in the programs, you know this is one of my most favorite scriptures. Be not conformed to this world. When we're trying to fit in, we're trying to be accepted, we're trying to not upset our parents, you are conforming. This is not even part of our Christian faith. So if you were raised this way, and this is your call to change. This is your call to no longer ask your children to conform for your comfort. Their dress choices, their language choices, they're like, I'm telling you, I know that's a big concept, but be not conformed to this world, but be therefore transformed through the renewal of your mind. Change your mind, right? Start to transform your mind and how you think. That's it. That's the magical ingredient to everything. If you've been in our programs, this is what we do. We help you change your mind and renew it. Renew it. You were there before. You've been a completely pure spiritual being. We come to this earth and we renew that with all the added awesomeness of a moral experience. We learn about hugging, we learn about love, we learn about pain, we learn about all these things. We're renewing that sense of spirit and oneness and love, right? Anybody's mind's blown? So what if we start thinking about our own thoughts? What kind of power would we wield if we start to build the skill of observing and curating our thoughts in the spirit of love versus spending time in fictional stories around our greatest fears? And like putting our minds, like thinking we're in the minds of all these other people, which actually is rarely the truth. It's rarely the truth. I'm going to show this one last thing before we move into the client group and answer questions and talk deeply about this. But I used to be so wrapped up in what my husband was thinking about me, to the point where I had built walls around these thoughts. But when I actually asked my husband, what do you think about the weight that I've gained? And he's like, what do you mean? What do I think about it? And I was like, does it bother you? And he's like, no. And I had built all these stories that I was less desirable, that when he'd hug me and cuddle me in bed, I was like, oh, he's touching my flabby belly. And he's probably like, oh, that's gross. You guys, tell me how that was beneficial to my relationship. It's not, it wasn't. To put those kinds of thoughts on my husband, what? What? When I dropped all of that and I sat in the spirit of who I am, and I started telling myself the story that that's what he loves. He loves who I am. Shifted everything. I started to receive. When he'd wrap his arms around me in bed, I received it into my soul that I am extravagantly adored. This man loves me. And I realized he'd been doing that for 20 years. But I only started to accept it and receive it for the last 2 years. Where are you doing this? Where you have put your fears and anxiety as the thought bubbles around people. And it affects our relationships and affects your stress. So you can be the calm mama in the family drama when you're only you. Pull back the fragments that you have given to other people, pull them back and say, oh, those are mine. Those are my thoughts, and I can work on those. No one here is thinking anything about me. They chose to be in my space because I belong, because I'm loved, because I'm valued. And that kind of energy will shift everything in your families. It will shift how you show up. You won't worry if no one eats your potato salad. You'll just be like, oh, no one ate my potato salad. Yay for us. I don't have to come up with a side dish for the next 3 days for my family. It shifts. It shifts everything from victim to victor, from scarcity to abundance. It shifts everything. So I'm so happy you came to this class. I hope that your brains were just like, what? And that you can start understanding this concept that we discern the thoughts in the spirit of love and compassion. We don't put our own struggles and things out there for people. So if you think this class is useful for someone, please tag them, share it, share your thoughts, share experiences. If you'd like coaching on this, if you would like to change your mind, by all means, come into the Elevated Mother experience. That's why we call it an experience, because you will experience being around people that are not doing this, that we are practicing this, and we're talking about our very real struggles, and nobody's judging. We're all like, oh, let me learn, let me grow. You will be in an elevated space to gain these skills. It's a beautiful spot to be. So I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream and move into the client portion of this.